Black Series, Cara Dune. Now, obviously there was already a Black Series release of Cara Dune that is the screen accurate look and paint job. But this is kind of a cool new concept. So just very, very recently, Hasbro decided to do this Mandalorian kind of a credit series. And by credit, they mean the ending credits of the episodes of The Mandalorian. If you've noticed, if you're a fan, you've been watching, at the end of each Mandalorian episode, there are credits running, as well as some kind of stills from that episode that are kind of colorized. They have an artistic look to them. They kind of add contrast to the color, giving a more bright, popping kind of 80s color scheme to it. And those have been appearing at the end of every episode from day one, pretty much. So this is based on that, and I love the concept. You know, companies like NECA, for example, have done similar type things where they'll do comic looks, like they've done a Predator figure where it's the comic color scheme. Kind of has that 80s comic style. They've done video game looks for Ninja Turtles and other sorts. So this is kind of, in my opinion, in the same vein, where, you know, this is a repaint, right? We've seen this sculpt before from the Black Series Cara Dune. But there's no doubt, at least in my opinion, that this figure kind of stands out much more. The colors obviously pop more. It's more bright. It's more eye-catching, in my opinion. And if you look up here above her head sculpt, you'll see that accessory. That's kind of a bonus thing here with the credit series. It is an Imperial credit. And again, for those of you who don't watch The Mandalorian, you may not know, but if you do, you kind of get it, where the Imperial credit was the Imperial currency that obviously became rare and somewhat underground, and we see them use these Imperial credits as kind of almost a black market currency in the original Mandalorian season. So again, if you've been watching the show from day one, not only do you know this character, Cara Dune, but you know what the Imperial credit is. So this figure, as of now, is in packaging. I have another one that I'm going to keep in package. So this one will actually be unboxed. So let's talk about the packaging a little bit. Old school Star Wars logo, Mandalorian. Now the cool part is that old school Kenner logo. Take a look. So that kind of brings you back to some vintage stuff. So even though The Mandalorian is obviously the new show from the last few years, you could tell in particular with this credit collection that they're doing, they're definitely trying to lean on the nostalgia, old school Star Wars figure collector mindset, where you know, they're not doing the typical box that the Black Series come in. They're doing the old school traditional card back like they would do on the old 3 3/4 inch figures. Again, the old school Kenner logo and just the artwork on the side there, just the overall design and look, in addition to the paint scheme on here. You could tell, again, Mandalorian, a new series, but this particular credit collection assortment is definitely trying to kind of pull on some nostalgia strings. And it works for me because, again, the colorized, the comic book style look, the more eye-popping 80s-esque color scheme, I dig it. I even like it more than the screen accurate version. And that's just because I'm so into the 80s. Let's flip it around, take a look at the back. There's some description there about, pretty much not about the individual character, but this description is about the line. All right, it pretty much talks about the things I've told you already, pretty much, what this line is about. It's a subset of the Black Series, as we know, that 6-inch scale. So I think we've covered pretty much everything from a mint on card perspective. I'd like you to just give me a moment. And by the way, since it is Wally's Tequila and Toy Time, I do have some tequila here. So cheers. And now, let's unbox this one. Now again, what I love about this credit collection is that, again, not the screen accurate versions. We've already had that in the Black Series. This is indeed a repaint, of course. But I love, again, as an 80s fan, nostalgia fan, this figure definitely has a more unique, eye-popping color scheme than the screen accurate Black Series version. It has that more, look at that bright coloring, right, on the armor. And you see the streaks of color in the hair. The face print tech that Hasbro uses obviously has been great for a long time. Let's turn the figure around. As you see, more bright coloring. Obviously, it does not look like the screen accurate version, but it does look like the comic style stills that they present at the end in the credit scenes. I just think that's a great sculpt. Overall, I think, you know, even this goes for the original Black Series version. The Cara Dune figure is excellent, I think. The face print is great. I think the proportions, the sculpting, the armor molds, everything is pretty freaking solid. So I figure it down. Now, because it's a credit collection, it comes with an Imperial credit. Now, again, like I mentioned earlier when I had this figure mint on card, it's meant to represent the kind of underground currency. You know, the old, you know, the Empire was taken over, destroyed. So this Imperial currency kind of became a rare, somewhat underground kind of way to pay. And again, you would see it show up in season 1 of The Mandalorian. It looks like it might be metal or such, but actually it's very light, almost flimsy, but very light. It's a plastic piece. The paint job just gives it that glittery, metallic kind of feel. But anyway, it's a cool little bonus accessory, something that not necessarily is to be expected, but they throw it in there. Let's take a look at Cara Dune's weaponry. All right, there you see a blade. That's her tiny little sword there, her dagger. All right. Then you see a pistol. See the paint job there. A little bit of a glittery kind of effect. It's pretty dark, pretty rustic looking, but again, a slight glittery effect. And then her main kind of rifle, laser shooter. And again, these are all repaints from the original Cara Dune Black Series screen accurate paint shop release. Now that strap is removable on both ends, so you could sling that around her. And at the end of this, when I'm all done, you're going to see some cool action shots of Cara Dune holding her accessories and weapons in various ways. Again, in the end, all I have to say is this figure is awesome. Again, I love the original version, to be honest with you, since I always tend to lean on a brightly colored, nostalgic comic book 80s style look. I love the credit collection and I actually prefer this version to the original Black Series version. For all you out there, cheers.